All right, everybody. What's up? Yet another episode of Web Refactor Live and Lab, rather. Say hi in the chat. We're going to wait for people to filter in before we get started, as always. And say hi. Like I said, I see a few people here already. If you have questions, I will give answers. If you have designs, I will rate and review and perhaps revise. So we're just going to wait a little bit. And I think I'll give an announcement here in a second on my other Discord server. Is everybody hearing me, seeing me fine? Just want to make sure everything's going to plan. I think I do want to record these this locally, actually. All right. So today we will be doing some reviews. We already got a few here in the Discord server. I haven't looked at any of them yet, so hopefully there will be a surprise. And very excited about the upcoming course, the Framer course. Oh, it's exciting. I love it. It's very fun using Framer after just hand coding everything. Oh. A little bit slow on the uptake with the members here. Come on, come on, come on. All right. Say hi if you're watching from X or Twitter. Kevin Hawthorne, always somebody who is constantly watching. I would have to say, I don't think I've seen anybody else here more frequently than Kevin. That's awesome. Okay. All righty. Good. Now we got some more people. Say hi in the chat. What is up, Afaz? What is up, Ernesto? Ebar. Raphael. Just checking out some comments here. Going to get started momentarily. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hello from Bangladesh. What is up? Will I do design corrections today? Yes, I will. Hi from Africa. That's awesome. Valerie, what is up? Nigeria, I love it. Awesome. So crazy that we, in this day and age, I mean, imagine like just 35, 40 years ago, people doing this. It's insane. All right, let's get started here. Awesome. Okay. Today, just a standard, typical, average UI UX review. Perhaps I will single in and focus on one design and try to do a good refactor. But I will get through reviews, and I will also go ahead and we'll do Q&As as well. I really like talking lately. I talk too much. 1 second. Before I get started, I do want to record this locally. There we go. Okay. So how do you submit your designs? First of all, you have to look at the YouTube description here, and it's going to tell you exactly how to submit your design. You basically join my Discord server. There's a link, and then you submit it in a channel called Negative Space Submissions. And this is actually what it looks like. In a second, I'll bring it up. All right. So hopefully you see my screen. Yes, you do. And here's the very first one that was submitted. Now, right before we get to the first review, I did want to mention designcourse.com. For those of you who aren't aware, don't go to the admin section. And basically, UI UX, I have several flagship courses here. There's 3 primary courses. If you want to learn UI UX design, level up in an interactive course setting, definitely check out the UI UX course. Use the coupon code here in the YouTube description to get a bunch of money off. There's also the CSS. For basically taking designs in Figma, realizing them, making them responsive with HTML, CSS in a browser. And then recently, advanced front ends as well that I launched in January, where you learn how to do all sorts of cool, interactive, more advanced techniques. All right. And then also upcoming is the course I'm working on for Framer, which is, it's so exciting. I have about 3 hours already. We'll be doing a pre-launch, I think, here in a week or so you can gain access to it. But basically, it's called From Figma to Framer. So all the designs in Figma, you're going to learn how to make them interactive, animated, and responsive in Framer. So I'll be quiet now with the spam, and let's get started. So You recently reviewed my website. I'm improving it, still in progress, but mostly finished. Thanks a lot. So it's a Webflow website. Let's check this out. All right, making the complex simple and the simple amazing. I actually like that. It's a nice headline. Very nice. What else here? HBen. Yeah, I like the logo. Projects. All right. So I would have a hover state on this nav item. Message me could probably stand out a little bit more. If I scroll down here, we do have that's a nice little animation up top tied to scroll for the sticky header. I like that. Oh, yeah. So I don't even really remember a design like this from last time. I can't remember. Very nice. Good topography. It's a very type-based layout, which is kind of like the more modern approach to landing pages. Big, nice, fluid topography. Nice interactions. This is very solid. We'll do a rating for this. 1 being the worst, 10 being the absolute best you've ever seen. Let me know what you think this person deserves in the comments section for this design. I won't look at what you all say. I think personally, for what this is, a portfolio, considering all the interactions, the UI design, the fundamentals, I would easily give this like an 8.4 or so. Let's see what you've all said in the comments here. Bring them up. 8. Yep, makes sense. All right, let's answer a question here. Don't just become a course seller. What does that mean? Can you elaborate? Does design course also include lessons on topography such as modern, awards, portfolios? So the UI UX course is at this point about 3 years old. I'll be refreshing it very soon. But those of you who already have access to it will get future updates for free anyways. So I think I might actually include a chapter called Modern UI Design where I update that pretty frequently to include stuff like that. The advanced front-end course certainly has that, and also the upcoming Framer course, which will be released soon as well. Let's continue on, and I'm going to minimize this. That was a very nice example. Keep on going. Mango. Mango's always a regular here. Let's continue on. We got a Figma document. All right, so this is a home page. I guess, let me see if you said anything else here. No. All right, so I'll just go ahead and pick out the home page and hit play. All right. And by the way, I do want to get out my other document here. Let's make this all part of the same situation. There we go. Okay. So this is a Roblox. Is it called Roblox or Robux? I don't know. Taking a look at this. So what is this? Gift cards now available. There's a marketplace. Learn more. New peer-to-peer marketplace. I'll be honest, I'm kind of confused as to what exactly this is. I know the gift cards are available, and it says marketplace, new peer-to-peer marketplace. Yeah, here's the problem. I'm not familiar with the game world for that specific game. But ignoring that and primarily just looking at the UI, yeah, there's some interesting things happening here. Like I would not do this no purchase necessary with that border or that line behind it. Just drop it down a bit because it makes it hard to read. Outside of that, looking further, I can see you're kind of let's see here. Playing around with the glass morphism. There's, I think, a little bit too much stuff happening here with these cards. Like, for instance, you have like a green kind of like gradient at the bottom and then a highlighted edge over here that is green, but then a gray border right here. There's a lot of contrasting elements. I would like to simplify this a little bit more than what you currently have. So I'd remove some of those elements and just focus on simplicity. All right. Other than that, this is actually pretty solid. I'm just trying to pick out the parts that I think could definitely be improved. So yeah, keep this up. 1 being the worst, 10 being best. I would probably give this a rating of, well, let's see here. Oh, this is at least a very solid 7, maybe a little bit above. Just a few small things to take note of. Gary, I found a WordPress plugin called Page.motion, which does some GSAP motion graphics functions. Do I still need to learn the JavaScript code? All right, so I'm not sure of what that plugin is, what that looks like if it's a graphical user interface, that kind of like Framer or Webflow that kind of provides a GUI between you and the code. Now, if it does, then yeah, you wouldn't have to learn JavaScript. But if it does require you to write green stock animation based JavaScript code, then you'll have to learn that. I have a free JavaScript course that sets you up to be ready to start to learn green stock animation platform. So if you join my advanced front ends course, which is designcourse.com/AF, and use the stream 30 code to get some money off, you'll be perfect. You'll have access to that free course and then also the main course where you learn green stock. Yeah, no code required. You wouldn't have to learn JavaScript then. Okay. All right, let's continue on. Let's get back my monitor. And who's next? Let's see. It's Mesha. It's supposed to be a blog focused portfolio. All right. I know you will point out the name instead of a good copy, but it feels kind of odd when you're not a freelance developer trying to sell. All right. Well, let's just see. Okay. Hi there, I'm Mahesh or Mahesh. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. A full stack developer based in India, currently working on a Discord clone. Follow the process through my blog. Okay, so you have articles. I like this. Not enough developers blog, and I think if you're in a freelance world where you're trying to get clients on your own, it's all about building up your network. You could be the greatest designer ever, but if you don't have a network and you don't take the time to build a network, then you're going to have a hard time finding clients and you will be poor. You'll be great and poor, which is weird. So one of the ways is content production, and there's many ways to produce content. You could do video based and stick to the social media, or you could do SEO based. And this is the value and the utility of doing that, because SEO is hard. It takes a long time for it to take off. It doesn't go viral typically. So, but when you put in the work for years upon years upon years, you will get solid traffic. So I'm sorry to rant about that, but it's an excellent idea for somebody who's serious. I did a blog at Coursetro.com, my formal website, and I got up to 10,000 visitors per day over the course of about a year and a half or two, just knocking out articles and minding the keywords and all that stuff. Looking at the design here, I don't really like the tags too much, because the reason being, look at these tags. They're all slightly different from each other. This one's gray, hard to see. This one, is a different color. We have all this different colors. I would simplify those and probably stick to just one color, just for simplicity's sake. It just kind of creates some visual clutter. Outside of that, this is fairly simple. We have a light mode. Let's see what your main pages look like. I would include a picture at the top, like a header graphic that's pertinent or relevant to your tutorial or your article of some sort. All right, yeah. And then at some point, you will be able to put in a little ad where you put your or you could do this at any point. I would do it now. If you're trying to get clients and stuff like that, I would put an ad right here. That's what I did long time ago when I had my web design / identity / branding design business. I had tutorials that I wrote that were written tutorials that ranked in Google, and it would basically show people how to design. I had two main tutorials: how to design a logo, how to design a website. Both ranked very high in Google, and many times the top 1, 2, 3 positions for those related keywords. And what happens is people realize it's hard to design a website as a beginner, and it's hard to design a website or a logo as a beginner as well. So what you do is you advertise your services right here. Say, if this is too tough, hire me. And that's what I did. I got 2,000 clients that way over the course of about 7 years. That's how you think in terms of marketing as a freelance designer or coder. It's one of the many routes that you can take. So as far as the design, pretty simple. It'll get the job done. You could definitely level it up and try to make it more modern and stuff like that. We're not going to really bother with a rating for this one. But yeah, very good. Let me check the comments here. All right. Let's see. Yes, I have your course. Very good. But so if you want me to review your portfolio, any of you watching, just look at the YouTube description. It'll tell you how to submit it. All right. All right. Here's a question. Am I learning, or do you mean I am learning front-end dev, how to redesign any website? Can I need to Figma or any course? Kind of difficult to understand what exactly you're asking here. Can I? So if you're learning front-end development, then I would take my CSS course because that is front-end development. Figma is specifically for UI, UX design, prototyping, and creating mockups. All right. So Figma itself doesn't export a website. You would need to do something like, learn how to hand code it by hand, HTML, CSS, JavaScript to make it a responsive reality in browser, or use a no to low code tool like Webflow, Framer, Wix Studio. It goes on. So that's the distinction between UI UX and front end development. Figma is a UI UX thing, and then front end development is either dealing with code or no to low code. All right, let's hide that and let's get back the monitor. Let's do another review. All right, let's see here. I think Raphael would love feedback on this one. It's a simple-ish website for a business I'm slowly building. I have one more rebuild left in me. Well, you don't always have to rebuild. If it works, it works. Typically, what you want to do is just to test, improve, and split test to, increase conversions or whatever your goal is here. So what is this? Sear Studio. Own a beautiful website that clearly communicates your message, business, vision. I like it. That's a good headline. I like this as well. So we have a little bit of mouse-based interaction up here. So honestly, I would probably make this text really stand out and make it white. You can keep this green right here, but making this white will really, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it'll really make it pop. Okay. that for those of you who don't know, if you're a UI UX designer, or even an identity designer for logo design, stuff like that, or even just a general graphic designer, and you deal with clients, you're going to hear that. Can you make it pop? All right. Benefits. Let's see here. So I can notice you're not really utilizing many columns, even though we're on a desktop here. I can see everything's kind of just in the center, and that's okay. But sometimes it's nice to utilize columns in the space that you have available to kind of fit information in. Like right here, you have one testimonial. Is there others, or is it just that one? I would definitely add more if you have more of those. So let's see what this happens here. All right. What happens when I click get in touch? Good. You have an embedded form. Yeah. This is pretty solid. I would add more white space between your elements right here, your nav items. That's not enough. You want to spread those out more and make them white. I can see they're a little bit gray. Let's see what the white version looks like. This looks nice. I like this a little bit better. The other one just seemed too dark. Maybe making that text white would help, but making it black right here in this context, I do like that. This area, I would probably put these in columns. So yeah, this is actually pretty solid. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person deserves for a rating? All right. Any of you watching on X, please leave a comment. I'm trying to gauge what's happening here in the world of X. All right, so for me, I'm going to give that one a rating of somewhere just like around a 7. I think that's fair. Looking at some of your comments here. One is the band hitting the stage. I'm working on it slowly but surely, but it's more or less, it's not really a band. It's going to be for another YouTube channel where I teach guitar and I try to promote my SaaS called frettastic.com. So that's something I'm slowly getting ready to do. Very excited about that. Hey, Gary, should I learn Webflow or Framer? I use WordPress now. I don't think you can go wrong with either one. I have a lot more experience in Framer than I do in Webflow. But I do know right now, there's 2 camps and they're very similar. So I don't think you can go wrong learning either one of those. I would say stick to Framer just because I have a new Framer course come out. Okay. All right. Just looking down here. Awesome. Yeah. So if you want to submit, people, just make sure you check the YouTube description. It'll give you the instructions. Let's continue on. All right. Next one is Pexi, whatever. I'm just going to say Pex. Metrics.com. Oh, wait. Am I sharing my? No, I'm not. There we go. Now I should be sharing it. There you go. Okay. All right. So the first thing that I'm noticing right off the bat is you have a defined column established by the left side of your logo. It's like right here. It's an invisible column that the logo will typically define. And then we have one over here as well at the very end of your last nav item. And let me refresh this. Okay, it's not really refreshing, but okay, there we go. And the way you've extended this out all the way to the left over here kind of makes it feel discombobulated. I would move this over because it's too far over, and then you leave way too much white space for what is really a watermarked sort of image here. I think it would be a little bit more interesting if you didn't reduce the opacity so much and just really bring out the full color if you have that available. But also move this over to the left a bit. I see you have a lot of little breadcrumb, or those aren't breadcrumbs. These pagination dots occurring here. It's too close to the bottom of this container. I would push those up a bit and also increase the speed at which these are moving, because it seems like they were, kind of slow. All right, looking at next. I'm going to work a little bit on your typography here in this section. I would add a little bit more line height around this paragraph. It's a little bit crammed. Outside of that, so what I might do is utilize, for instance, space between in your CSS, so that you take your title, keep it up top, and then your description on hover down to the bottom. I'm not sure I really think it makes sense to even show these on hover. I think they should be there by default if it's important information. But I would still probably either align them to the bottom, or you could keep them where they're at too. Next up, let's see here. So this is a weird area with a lot of color, and some of them doesn't really make sense because these logos, these trust symbols, are all grayscale. And when you put in close proximity grayscale images or content next to, lighter, like pastel colors, it creates for bad color contrast, especially with this 1 pixel gray border that you have around this white container. So in order to combat that, I would make all these by default, instead of relying on hover, just make them all absolutely full color without having to, requiring people to hover, hover over them. There's a little bit of issues with small things like white space. So there's a lot of white space here, but even less here. And that doesn't make sense to me based on headline, sub-headline, and then a completely different element underneath it. So if I get an F12 out and we look at the dev inspector here, and we take a look at this stuff. So it looks like we have a gap here, property. I would seriously move this a little bit closer underneath unleash your potential, and then move this element down. So like this element right here, the white container, move it down further while keeping the same amount of white space beneath it. All right, looking out, what else is here? A little bit more line height on this paragraph. This is a lot of text, and it's pretty close together. This here, this information about Brent is not contrasting enough. I could just tell that visually. Like if I ran this through one of those contrast checkers like Stark, or even the one built into, let's see if we can find it. I haven't used that in quite a while, but if I hit F12 and we grab one of these elements. Oopsie, it went away. We can kind of see if we click on accessibility, it's not showing up right now. But either way, make that darker for sure. All right. So I can actually make it darker for you right here. It needs to be more like this. So a color code of like 3B, 3B, 3B. That's how much darker it is. It's way more easily read. All right. So 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Let me know what you think this person should get for a rating. There's definitely areas that can be improved. There's things that are happening right, though. For me personally, I probably just give this a rating of like 6.3 or so. Let's see if anybody else agreed. All right. Let's go ahead and check some of the comments here. Can you please do a long form design as a challenge for setting and such? I'm not sure what you mean exactly by that. Hello, Gary. What are some differences between GreenSock animation platform and Framer Motion libraries for animating React apps? Do they achieve the same goal? Are there pros and cons? So I never really heavily got into React itself. I was initially hugely into Angular and then Vue after that. So I never really touched React much, which is strange as, a content creator because it's one of the most popular. But I do understand that Framer Motion and GreenSock are kind of like competitors, and GreenSock animation platform, I believe, is more robust, especially if you get into their club and you get all their special plugins and stuff like that. But I can't really answer that to the best of my ability because I don't have a ton of experience with Framer Motion and React itself. I do know that Framer.com, the low to no code web tool, has Framer automatically embedded. And any website that's created from Framer is a React site. And if you want to get into coding within Framer, because you can do code, then you use Framer. You can use GreenSock animation platform in Framer, but I think it makes more sense to use what's already built in for it. Your stream setup is so cool. Have you been captured by aliens? No, I've been captured by, achieving some success with my course launches, back in 2022, and then just splurging too much on this entire setup. That's what I'm plagued by or captured by. Or somebody's answering that. Sup, Gary? I'm not only a UI UX designer, but a professional guitarist as well. When are you going to critique my playing? Jason, I want to hear your playing. I don't know how you can send that link here because I'm not sure if it'll let you, but I would like to hear your playing. Anybody can hear my guitar playing from a while ago. There's not too much recent stuff. If you go to YouTube and you type Gary Simon Guitar, you'll find the other smaller YouTube channel. All right. I'm just kind of checking here. In hackathons, there's usually a problem statement where we're tasked with redesigning any website in our own unique way. What do I need to learn for this? Could you please guide me? So that's a kind of a question that really requires me to ask you more questions, because I would have to ask you, what's your skill level? Do you understand UI UX design fundamentals at all? If you don't, that's where you start. That's where my UI UX course starts as well. And so you have to understand UI UX design fundamentals before you can try to even think about redesigning an existing website. So understand the fundamentals first. That is where you start. And then you'll be able to start to pick out issues. You can also watch these type of streams and see what I critique. And that could be a method of helping you understand some of the obvious pitfalls that you can avoid in order to improve. I have a metal roof and it's like sleeting outside. So you could probably hear a little bit of static and weird noise. Hopefully that's not too distracting. Okay. I will answer some other questions here, but first let's go back to reviews. Wow. We've already been doing this for 30 minutes. That is nuts. Okay. Hi, Gary. I need to improve the navigation, keeping the minimalism. How would you approach that? Okay. So try it in presentation mode. Okay. Let's check this Figma document out. Oh no, that hurts. I have to request access this. So hopefully he reminds me because I have to move on to another one. I was not able to view that Figma prototype. So when you share a Figma prototype, make sure you don't have weird permission settings on. Next up is Grace. This is a standard portfolio. Would love to see if you could take a quick look, and I indeed will. All right. Grace Johnson Valentine, salute. Hey, hello. Okay, welcome to my portfolio. Make yourself at home. This area is a little bit uninspiring. Here, let me get that out of the way. Just because it's highly, I mean, it's purely just kind of like typographic, and it kind of leaves me wanting a little bit more. At the very least, you can add texture to it if you want, but you did say you want to keep it super minimal. So what I would do in this context, like you have your headline here, it's just kind of thrown on here, centered, typical. I would modernize this while still keeping the minimalism at, wait, am I? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm sharing the monitor. Sometimes I do that and you can't see what I'm talking about. But I would make this much larger and maybe do something more interesting with its placement. So I take this whole hero section, make it 100 viewport height, get rid of this stuff that's visible down here. And one of the modern trends of having like a strong headline is to maybe left line it to the bottom, make it large, like real large and responsive fluid typography. And also integrate some subtle animation like a mask reveal where the letters come up or the words come up or the whole thing comes up just to make it more interesting. As far as your concern about the navigation, I would personally just stick to standard conventions. I would put your name to the left and then take your navigation and either center that or stick it to the right over here somewhere. And then you do want to have, I know you want to keep it minimal, but you do want to have interactions, and at least you want to designate what the current page is that they're on. So either a home icon or an explicit home link in your navigation is one of the UX musts, I would say, because people expect it, even though you have your logo linked to the home page, which you should, but it's, in this case, it's not even very obvious. It just looks like text that maybe you can't click on. Scrolling down here, I do like how you're presenting these. This is a more modern approach to presenting designs with, you know, the big thumbnails, if you will. And that's about basically it. Powered by Adobe Portfolio. Okay, I never even checked out Adobe Portfolio. All right. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. I would probably just get this for what it is, somewhere like around in the 6-ish range. There's things that are happening right. There's no issues like blatant issues like readability and all that stuff. So that has to be considered. Let's check out some comments. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have hidden that comment. All right. Will you organize any design hackathon in the future? Perhaps I will. I've done contests like a few years ago. We'll see if there's interest in that. Let's see here. Just wanted to know that if someone does a Figma course and is already a developer, can you become a great designer? Well, yeah, you can, but it is very difficult to become great as like a front-end developer or back-end developer, and also to become great at something else, because it takes time to be great at something. I can sit here and I can tell you, oh, if you take my 16-hour UI UX design course that's filled with these challenges and it will take you a month or two to complete, I could say you'll be a great designer afterwards. But I mean, obviously it takes a lot of practice after you learn these things. It's just learning them is one thing, putting them into practice takes a lot longer because it takes a long time to build up muscle memory. So yeah, you can become great at both, but it's very difficult, and you can't do it within a month. You can't do it within 2 months. You can't do it within a year. You can't do it within a couple years, typically. I mean, it really takes a lot of time, and that's applicable to anything, any type of skill like guitar or whatever. All right. Let's answer another question here. If you are a front-end dev and no design person, okay, all right. I have noticed that many people are using dark mode. In some way, websites only have dark mode option available. In your opinion, do you feel that using dark mode is more efficient? You know, I'm not really sure if I can answer that question, because I would need to see statistics and stats that's been researched about that specifically. I do know that, on devices that operate on battery, having a dark mode version of your site is advantageous in a couple of different contexts. First, it's going to reduce the power consumption just because light and white really takes up a lot of power on your phone. And also some people, maybe if they're reading your website or visiting your website at nighttime and they're about to go to sleep, but they don't want to have something like a big white background blasting their eyeballs out, like it makes sense to do dark mode as well. So do you have to have a light mode version? No, but I would say if you're going to have either or, it makes sense to go with dark mode in some contexts. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to continue on and we'll come back to the comments. So let's go over here. Oopsie. There we go. All right, standard. Let's see. I'm trying to remember where I'm at here in my place. Okay, would appreciate it. I would appreciate feedback on my portfolio for the home and contact page. Edit, this was already viewed a couple weeks ago for the homepage and the changes requested have been added. So would appreciate the feedback. All right. Well, here's the problem. I can't typically remember everything that I looked at. I kind of do remember this actually. So we'll see what's happened. Okay. I do see we have a little bit of a parallax occurring here. I think this area, this topography could be definitely improved. See, because you really want to avoid things like this, like where you have putting type real close to the edge of something. You either go crazy and overlap it or keep it away. I don't like putting type on edges of things or near them. It just kind of throws things off a little bit. There's also a lot of white space between each of these type. And I think this could just be improved quite a bit. In fact, I think that'd be a good idea. I'm going to copy this and I'll kind of show you how I would envision doing this or approaching it. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it, but we're going to give it a shot. So let me open up Figma and let me go to, let's see. Oh, there we go. It's like, how do you start a new document in Figma? All right. So let's get out like a 1920 by 1080. I'm going to paste that in. All right. So let's say you have that. And what was that? Spreading love through software. All right. So how can we reimagine that idea? So spreading love through software. Okay. So obviously that's really tiny. We're going to go like, maybe not that large. Let's do like 50. Make that sucker bold. So this is inner. Let's bring this closer together. Or you could go like a condensed approach with like BBoss. Make it a little bit larger. Increase the line height. So I would do something like this as opposed to this right here. It simplifies it. It's all black. It overlaps. So if I do a quick screenshot and we go back to Figma, kind of show what this part looks like. This nice big bold approach is a more modern way of handling that. You could also just put it like right here and then put your other stuff like, let's say this is like enter software, software for love. Scale that down. And then if I go back real quickly, we'll just kind of take this type. All right. And let me fix this real quick. I'll be done with this one in a second. Don't make it bold. We need good typographic visual hierarchy. This is 25, probably get away with like 16 or maybe 18. And then Let's see here. Reduce that line height. Maybe increase it slightly. So this here is an option, and just like this. And again, I just take this down here. Oops, I didn't put that in there. 1 second. Whoop. There we go. And then something like this, like kind of more of what you had. This could be an option depending on how you place it. But I wouldn't do this over here. Okay. All right. Let's go back here and check out what's happening. Got any more? Hey, Gary, love your content. Been a subscriber for years. Quick question. My partner is starting to learn UI UX. Any recommendations on how to get her first job? I've recommended your course, by the way. Hopefully she joined. But yeah, that's a big, like a loaded question. There's a bunch of answers. There's a bunch of steps that it requires in order to get a job. It depends on what you mean by job, like an actual, is she going to be freelance or is she going to work for an employer? Those are two different, very different things. But in the end, it starts first with attaining the skills. And I mean like UI, UX design skills and really practicing and leveling up. And then you have to have a portfolio. You have to have at least two projects that you've created. If you're going to be a freelancer, because without a portfolio, without work, you don't have a portfolio. And so I go into this stuff like during my coaching calls. So if anybody wants coaching, by the way, it's a 45-minute Zoom session. You can go to designcourse.com/coaching, and you can take advantage of that. And I can help you out with those type of questions specifically. Continuing on, let's see here. Okay, so let's hide this and continue on with the next one. All right, Mr. Me Very Noob. All right, a new project I made recently to showcase. Let me make sure I'm actually sharing my monitor. That's why I need another monitor to make sure this stuff doesn't happen. Okay, a new project I recently made to showcase the artwork I did for a college project. This website was done within 3 days. The entire design, Figma to Webflow, and Blender illustration and animation. Here's the website link. I tagged you on my X post link as you are my inspiration. Please do like it if possible. All right, awesome. We'll check that out. One Spoon, I couldn't get the resources I needed, so I created my own. All right. Quite a loader. This should be interesting. I would typically I would try to increase that speed on which it loads a little bit more. All right, so what is this? Okay, so one issue, I really like this type, but this contrast is lacking. Like right here, very much lacking. So lacking contrast, that is, this type. So I would increase that just to, probably by about like 30% of what it currently is so that it's really obvious. Another thing that's kind of weird is, okay. Okay. For some reason, it started down there. I don't know why. So this is the actual hero section. Let's try that again. I'm at the very top. Okay, there we go. That's much better. I like that. Yeah, that one Spoon. All right. Now, this is not giving me much information. I would like to have a little bit more context in the hero section. And they've studied this a million times, a million years ago. If a person doesn't understand what the heck a website is within the first like 3 to 5 seconds, they're going to leave. So having something somewhere in terms of like a sentence or two and perhaps a call to action would make more sense. I like the little the tilts that you're doing here that make the interactions more interesting. You know what I do? Since you have scrub-based animations that are tied to scroll position instead of time, I would also add a little bit of a smooth scroll, because it's also kind of referred to as locomotive scroll, because like when you scroll down on your mouse scroll wheel, it'll keep going slightly and slowly stop, which benefits these types of animations. Now, I'm imagining your preloader, you really want to make sure your 3D assets that you're utilizing are not large. And it looks like, I'm not sure if the texturing or whatever, Hopefully this isn't a very large asset because a simple spoon wouldn't be worth that amount of load time. Scrolling down, continuing on. Let's see here. I'm just kind of looking at what's happening. Yeah, just increase the contrast in some of those sections. Yeah, overall, three days to complete this. Yeah, not bad. There's some issues. Like, look at this. Like, right here, that's one thing you want to avoid. You have to make sure that if you're going to have a fixed nav, it never gets difficult to read. And so there's a few ways you can approach that. Having a bar that goes all the way across, or, that's fixed, or just making sure you're not utilizing these type of colors. And that's the hard part when you're using like the glass morphism effect here. It can get a little bit tricky. But yeah, I like the topography here for the most part, and I like the interactions. Very nice. I would just do a locomotive scroll as well. Kind of use, I forget what it's called. Everybody uses it these days. It's a scroll library. I forget what it's called. Anyway, let's go back to the chat. I'm just going to check out what's happening here. Very much welcome. All righty. Let's continue on. Okay, let's go back. All right, this is from Mr. Era XD. Hello, this page is for my company that offers graphic and web designing services. Hope you don't mind it in Polish, but I find that, okay, all right, it is in production. Would you like to take a look? Okay, let's check it out. Okay, interesting. Let's do English over here. No, I won't talk about that. I hate cookie banners, by the way. This is an issue. Okay, so I understand what's happening here. Because I used Google Translate, it probably screwed this headline up, so I'm not even going to bother. I just want to make sure I'm streaming the right monitor. Yeah, because obviously this is broken. If I refresh this, yeah, that's a lot better from what you have initially. So I'm just going to leave that here. Nice subtle little interactions here on these cards. See, even something simple like this, where you hover over. Subtle micro interactions like that are nice to integrate. I like this. I like this color in these sections of how you're creating this kind of like abstract shapes. That's integrating ideas of graphic design into the web design. I like it. I would improve this area over here. I've talked about this a million times, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. But when it comes to form design in your text fields, you don't want to rely just on a underlined border. I know some big websites do it, but for usability purposes, some people aren't really certain where to click. They think they're like border separators. So you either make the background a solid background color and or make the border go all the way around. Outside of that, I like the colors here. I like this motif that you have, this recurring theme. That's nice. This is nice down here. Yeah, very solid. These little headlines right here, they should be like bolder and or larger as well, because you're losing a little bit of visual hierarchy between label and the elements down here because they're very similar in size. All right, so that's solid. I really like it. Good job. Going back here. Is it GSAP scroll trigger? All right, so let's find out. I'll show you how to find out. You use this Wapalizer plugin, which I've talked about a lot in the past. And basically, it'll tell you if GreenSock was used or if there was something else. I don't see GreenSock being used here. Vue in Nuxt.js is, but I don't see anything else. So I'm not sure if you were referring to this design or maybe the previous one. One Spoon, you were probably referring to that one. In that case, yes, you can see GreenSock is used, and along with Webflow and Lottie files. All right, continuing on. Let's go ahead and I'm going to close all other windows here for a second, other tabs. Oh, wow, we've been going on for 50 minutes already. Okay. Oh, the scroll library. No, the scroll library I'm talking about can be used in conjunction with green sock. Oh, what is it? Modern Scroll Library. I forget what it's called. It's rather new, and unfortunately, it's not showing up. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Oh shoot, sorry. Yeah, I was just on Google trying to find the scroll library. It's right there. I'm gonna figure it out. Just don't worry. I have to focus on something else for a second. Okay, let's do another one. Let's see here. So, is this the one I just did or no? No. Okay, it is. Let's go back. All right, so I'm a front-end dev who hasn't studied UX UI formally, so I mostly go with my gut, which is okay. Here's a site I created. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how to make it better. All right, Sarah Brown Design. Design and turnkey renovations in the Montreal area since 2001. Okay, this is pretty nice. I don't really have too much of a, oh, okay. I like this. So this is one of those really subtle things. So take a look at this graphic, this photograph here. This looks like it's AI, by the way. Her legs look weird. All right. Anyways, notice how on the edges right now they're basically just right angles. There's no rounded corners. Well, it scales down slowly on scroll and gives it rounded corners, which is interesting. It's just a very small, minute effect. And it also scales it down. And you can see it has a little bit of a parallax effect as well. Subtle, nice animations like that, I love them because it does not distract. It doesn't take away from the experience. From my opinion, it benefits it. I like it. Outside of that, okay. All right, so it seems like right here you have things reversed. The bold part should be the title, and the unbold part should be this part. You also might be running into some contrast issues because the background here is fairly, it's like a mid-tone with white text. You're playing with fire a little bit there. I think I maybe make this a little bit darker, this background, and then I'll bring out the contrast a little bit more. All righty. This is cool. Very nice. Yeah, this is excellent. If you design this, yeah, very nice. I like this little like mask reveal of the footer. Very nice. Yeah, I would probably rate that easily well into the 8s, close to 9s. Very nice. All right. When we're designing and developing sites, how much do we need to consider the Google Web Vitals / page scores more over the cool UI UX gadgets that potentially lower scores? How much do we need to consider the Google Web Page Vitals and page scores? All right. Well, yeah, they're obviously very important, depending on the context of what you're trying to do, what the site is about, what the objectives are. You can get away with, if you, like for instance, like a portfolio, you can get away with really showing off your abilities as a designer / developer or a front-end developer, and utilize those cool things and not really worry so much about having the absolute fastest page speed possible. If you're dealing with like an e-commerce website, speed and all that 100% matters. And I would say that's the case with most websites. The things that I focus on this channel are landing pages and portfolios typically. So for me, I like to see these interactions, and you can still have these nice subtle micro interactions without, screwing up a page score. So yeah, very important to mind those. In some cases it's more important. In other cases, it's less important. All right, let's continue on. We're at 54 minutes. I'll use this time just to mention real quickly that, oh, will it stop doing that? For those of you who've been watching, haven't been watching, you just came in. If you want to use the code STREAM30 to get an X% off, I think it was 25% off or 24. Take a look at the YouTube description. If you want to learn UI UX and really be solid with it, check out my course here. And it's an interactive course with 16 hours. And there's also optional mentorship. You could check that out as well by going to Mentor. And it's basically you just pay a subscription fee, and I look at your work through the 12 different challenges, the design challenges, and then that way you get direct feedback from me. But there's other courses as well. Definitely check that out. And also the recent All Access Pass, which kind of gives you access to my main courses with a reduced fee. All right, let's continue on. Going up. All righty, who is next? Okay, next is Kushu. This screen tracks the stock performance since it was recommended by the experts. This screen tracks the stock performance since it was recommended by okay, I'm not sure what that means exactly, but we'll take a look at that. Let's see here. Option 1, option 2. Well, let's just check out one of the options and we'll see what this looks like in presentation mode. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening right here. It's very colorful, which is okay. I almost think it's almost a little bit too colorful. I say that because like you have green text, and I understand the context of green and red as it pertains to markets. You're losing, right? So I might, if I were you, if you're going to keep these colors here, which are very very contrasting colors, I would probably reduce the amount of all the colors that you have merged together here in the background, because it's almost just a little bit too much. Outside of that, layout and structure wise, I like what I see here, kind of like a dashboard. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of information being packed into these cards, and that's okay, assuming people are utilizing all this. Yeah, really a lot of detail has been added to this. I actually like it. It's just a little bit too much color up there. That's all. But yeah, this is solid. Continuing on. Let's see here. Oh, we got a lot more. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get to all of these because it's almost an hour already. I want to make sure that I did not skip anybody. Yeah, okay. What is happening here? Let's take a look at this. Ready? Let's refresh. Making the invisible visible. I don't know what that means, and my golly, I literally just said my golly. You want to get into this you want to get into this century of design and not use the previous centuries, like in the 1990s design. I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm just joking with you, but these are definitely old school approach to button design. And trust me, I was there in the mid to late 90s designing websites kind of with stuff like this, where you kind of had the emboss effect and the glow effect and all that. And this just screams to me ancient, all right, like way outdated. But what's interesting, you're utilizing some cool modern front end development, which is cool. But also like down here, this, yeah, same vibes right there. Let's scroll down because I can't scroll. There's no scrolling. So making the invisible visible, which is very ironic because I have no clue what this website's about. So I'm still stuck in invisible mode in a sense. Let's see if I click on one of these. What is that? Oh, okay. See more. Yeah. So like this right here, color contrast, this gray with this blue, there's not really good color contrast between them. And you're kind of using this mid-gray color here. So you either want to go much darker or much lighter on this container. There's also, I see pixelation occurring here. The big drop shadows and then emboss. I would definitely try to modernize your design. Definitely check out designcourse.com to try to kick you into that. Like this form down here with the, it's kind of like a grayish, little bit of color in there, skin tone. It's like, definitely don't want to have like colored glows around your elements. Alrighty. Just checking out whatever else is happening here. But yeah, that was an interesting design. One of the most interesting designs I've ever had. But I would definitely kind of like just try to stick to just focus on really paying attention to what modern designers are doing. Did I forget to review somebody's design? Villain's design. Let me see if I skip somebody. No, I didn't, because I didn't check this one out. Unfortunately, anybody down here below is not going to get their website reviewed because my back is hurting, hunched over on this stupid stool. And and we're at an hour already, so we are going to conclude. And before I do that, once again, like I said, the Framer course is upcoming. Let me share my screen so that I can kind of show you some progress on that course. I'm gonna have to go to my admin section real quickly. Projects, courses. So this is the curriculum so far. So getting started. This is just teaches how you, again, this course is called From Figma to Framer. So it's all about taking real polished designs in Figma and making them a reality in Framer. And you learn how to start like with super simple basics because that's important. So like learning how to make like an animated button of sort and learning about components and all that good stuff. And then we work our way up into more complex stuff. This is what I have so far. So there's about 3 hours, but there's a lot more coming. So I start covering responsive designs and stuff like this. But yeah, it's going to be really, really fun and exciting because here in a few weeks, or maybe in a week or two, I'll do a pre-launch where people will get early access to it while I'm actively developing it, like I do with most of my courses. But yeah, definitely be on the lookout for that. I'll take any more questions for just a little bit, and we'll see what's going on, bro. I really need your feedback. Everybody's begging for the feedback. Yeah, I mean, there's just more here. I'll do one more, and we'll call it a day. Let's just do one more, and we're gonna go to. There we go. Hey there, how can I improve the design and get more ideas? It's still in progress. I'm trying to refactor and make improvements of the design of the site. Make sure I'm sharing my screen. Yes, I am. And let's check it out. Oh yeah, you could definitely improve this. Maybe I can take it in real quickly and just do some slight modifications because I do want to get done here soon. All right, so the first thing is, let me ungroup this. The first thing is I would reduce this a little bit, the line height. Move this down. And then I would scrap this. I would get something completely higher quality than this graphic right here. This is just, it's low effort illustration. So get something different. You can use Adobe Illustrator, has their new AI vector-based illustrations that you can use a prompt to generate cool vector graphics. I would use something like that in place of this. Outside of here, I would move this over. Looks like things got kind of like discombobulated for some reason. Yeah, you're doing something wrong here. See, you have, it looks like a title, but then like something that's completely different, like what type of tool this is, right? But you're styling them the exactly same way. You don't want that. So instead, what you would do is just don't keep them part of the same element. We need to modify this. So we'll make it smaller, like perhaps size 14. This one could be bold. This one will be a different color as well. Maybe we can gray that out. Maybe even go down here at that size. Okay, maybe not 12. We'll do 14. All right, and get this centered up as it properly should be. This should be larger, probably round these corners because the container's corners were rounded. So you don't want to have those be not rounded. So again, I'm just kind of doing a real quick adjustment. Move this down, easing your stock research. That shouldn't be larger than the headline. So we need to make that smaller too. And so we could do like 14 here and make it regular, perhaps. And then your learn more button needs to work as well. Like the icon is barely noticeable, and it's also not in the correct position. It needs to be centered like this and reduced in size. And I don't know why. Oh, the stroke. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. The pass through is 20%. There we go. So move this over. And I kind of really don't like the button design itself. And you need probably a little bit more text for your description. And I wouldn't use all title case for that. I'm just going to type something random so that we have a bit more type. Okay. All right. So we take this, center that. Now your learn more needs to be smaller. And then I'm going to get rid of that drop shadow, push this over. All right. So this here to me is a better approach on the card design compared to what you have over here, because this lacks visual hierarchy, typographically speaking. All right. So that is going to be it. That is the very last review. What CMS do I recommend using? I don't have like one that I just recommend. So me personally, I don't like WordPress, but I know many people like it. But yeah, I'm not gonna get too involved in that. So you improved it in the side frame. What are you talking about? Damn, Gary, you looked at the old site frame. I improved it in the side frame. All right. What are you talking? Oh, okay. Are you talking about? Let's see. Oh, okay. You're talking about this one. Am I sharing my screen now? Yes. All right. So let me go back. You're talking about this design, I think. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of iterations here. I'm just kind of looking at what's happening. I would still improve like this graphic over here as well. Yeah, these cards are a bit of an improvement over what you had before, but even considering that, I would still take these and like, I would, here, like, well, I can't modify them because whatever, but add more white space underneath the headline right here or the title. All right. Awesome. I think that's good for today. We'll do this again next week. And definitely check out designcourse.com. Make sure you sub up here on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. Right now, there's, not many people watch on YouTube these days, unfortunately. Unbelievable. But I'll see you all very soon. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Oh, and by the way, I will say this. If you want me to review your stuff, you can do that without having to wait for me to do these streams. If you join the UI UX course in Mentor, you're able to submit any designs that you want me to review, and I will take a look at them and revise them if necessary. So that's an option of how you guys can get my feedback in a faster way and not have to rely on these live streams. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you later, and goodbye.